Okay, so this is something definitely wanted to share, just to get it on record. So, I used to work at this place with a couple buds, but it's weird. This dude was an employee of mine, but he sent me a message at 2:07 on Monday. So, what's up, man? We gotta grab a beer and catch up soon. And I said, of course we do. I was about to throw those bottle caps away I got for you yesterday, but stopped because I thought, how cool would it be if he came by after all this time and I still had these, which is a thought I had. The reason I'm doing that is because me and my wife have been doing this kind of, I hate saying it, but challenge, if you will, is to get rid of something. Either throw it away or donate it or see if a friend needs it. But just to kind of clear out stuff. But anyways, I came across this and I picked this up and I was literally walking to the trash and then that thought occurred to me, and that was on Sunday. And he texted me that next day. That's why I said, of course we do. He said, it's funny you say that because I stopped collecting them. Obviously, we can read this. And I said, because it's right on time. Yeah, I hope you heard that because it's getting to that. That's what I'm saying, man. And it's just, it's crazy. And then on top of that, this is another good friend of mine, and I haven't texted this. Oh, yeah. Like I said, that was 11:22 at 10:05. So you won't believe what I found for you, because he came by. I need to fill this in too. He said he was collecting bottle caps because I wanted to make a table. And then I go to this bar to play pool, and I was like, and they had this bucket, and I collect these, and just for, there's that sack of bottle caps. See that? And I had those in my hand, and I was like, and I really thought that, and I sent that at 11:22 at 10:05, and he sent that at the 2772, which I just mentioned, and then I sent that back at 2:10:21. That is so. And then my buddy Luke, whom I haven't spoken with since May 2nd. Look at that. And he texted me Tuesday, which was very nice. And then, of course, I just text a couple days later, but I was like, it's weird. You text me Tuesday night. Then the last 2 nights, this pit terrier had visited and hanging with me right now, which is right now. It was here last night, but it just kind of was at my mailbox and then went along its way and then showed up again tonight. And man, it's spooked, and we'll come around to that because it's so weird. Because then I'll show. Text me Tuesday night, then last night this pit terrier visited and hanging with me right now. I'm trying to find the connection. Is Hades doing okay? So he had this dog Hades that was this pit terrier that looks exactly or very similar to his dog. And of course, I appreciate what he said. And he hasn't gotten back to me yet because that was, again, just tonight. That's right now. But I just want to get this kind of while it's, quote, fresh, even though it doesn't matter because someone could stumble across this a year ago, or a year from now, or a year ago. But, a year from now, and it'd still be new to them. But anyways, just a thought experiment there. But he texts me on Tuesday night, you see there, 8:34. And then Wednesday, and then this is now Thursday night. His dog is here, and his dog's name was Hades, and it was getting older, and he got this pup to kind of have a little friend. But I wonder if something happened. That's just real strange, because Let's go to that. Where was it? As a beacon. There we go. She asked me this question, like an obelisk. There it is. Or a beacon of light. 319. It's 13. I said a beacon of light or central hub, not bacon, haha. I wanted to show you that because we got this dog's here with me now. And about 2 weeks ago, we just got these lab pups. Because I just talked about going to Vegas, and before we left for Vegas on this thing, the neighborhood app, this guy had posted about these 2 pups that he found that were abandoned. And of course my wife's on that and I am on that, but I don't get notifications for it. But I happened to open that one and she talked to me about it, and I was like, I saw that. I was like, look, if you wanna get these dogs, even though we already have 2, and I'll get to those, I was like, go ahead and call. And she called and he said, no, we're gonna end up keeping them. That was before we went to Vegas on 8/8. I went. And her on 8/11, but 3 weeks after we had initially talked to them, and I don't remember the date, but I know it was before Vegas, but this is after we got back, this gentleman messaged my wife and was like, hey, we're not able to do it. Are you still willing to take these dogs? And she was like, yeah, and they are the sweetest dogs, lab mixes, I think a little bit of shepherd, but because one is brown with kind of that shepherd kind of coloring, and then the other one is this deep, luscious chocolate brown, like black, but in the sun. And we just got these, and they were a little bit scary when we got them. You could tell they had been taken care of, but they're adapted so well. And then we already, like I said, we already had 2. And then the second one was Rocco, who is this like pit hound mix, I don't know, but this dog just showed up in our garage. We were getting ready to go, I think, to a movie, and our daughter was like, there's a dog in our garage. And we're like, okay. And we were still trying to get going, and you know the way my wife is, and of course I was like, okay. Seemed to get along with our dog that I have, Chewbacca, and first one I'll get to him. But put it back there, put some water back there, went and saw our flick, and then came back. And interesting about him, he had that tattoo, that number when they're in the system, in the pound. And she looked it up and called up there, and they're like, yeah, it belongs to so-and-so. And so she reached out to them thinking they had lost their dog. And they're like, no, we had surrendered it to the pound. And she's like, I just talked to the pound. They have no record of that. And they're like, well, he just didn't want it. And then this dog is amazing, which is so strange because I keep calling him Woodson because he reminds me of a previous dog that I had that I didn't get to see all the way through from a previous relationship. And I swear this dog that just showed up, that is just an amazing dog, happened to just walk into our garage, and it's just been wonderful. And then our first dog that I got 4 years ago, Rocco's was probably about 2. Chew, I got him, and he's a white schnauzer. And it's funny, even when Rocco showed up, I was thinking about getting another dog and getting a salt and pepper one, like a darker, those gray ones, the contrast, because I am allergic to dogs, believe it or not. They're dander, and schnauzers are kind of hypoallergenic, if you will. But I love dogs, and I had labs growing up, and I've had a pit before, and then Rocco's like a pit hound mix, because he howls and he looks like a hound, but real thick and meaty in his neck and his jowls. But man, is he. So, and then Chew I went and bought, and I got him for a good price though, because I was looking for a particular dog. Because again, my previous dog, Bella, was a white schnauzer, and she was probably one of the best dogs I had. And this all does kind of come full circle. But it's funny, I mentioned Beacon. Sorry, I know this is just on this message screen. I guess we could do this instead. But being a beacon, and I said that, and then my buddy reaches out who had a dog that looked like that just the night before. And then I tell her, I was like, it's funny, these dogs show up, it's almost like we're a beacon for them. And I'm just like, man, how these all connect, and how I made this video. Let me go to that too. Just to show the stupidity. And then I'm just a freaking person too. So I make a video yesterday. See that? It's 1844. And this is just a screenshot, so I have no idea how long it's going to be. Which, it's 9/8. And the microphone is usually always on, and for some reason it's not on. And I record this whole thing without the mic on. And it was, of course, in my mind, brilliant. I'm going to pat myself up. It was me. If nobody does, nobody will, Anyways, I go through this and I cannot believe. And I'm sitting there, and after what I even said in this video about the pillars, I was like, man, here you are presented with it again. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So this is kind of, I want to paraphrase, this is kind of what we're presented. Again, that story that I go back to that first video I made and what I've been looking into, because all the research, if you will, that I've done always typically leads to two places, mostly one place, always. Two places, one of them have been scripture and Bible stuff, biblical, we'll say, and the other one has been the stars. And I'll show, but this is how they present this, like right now. Of course, I go to time and date. The new moon in Libra. New moon in Libra. And this is given to us. The first thing, the new moon in Libra on September 25th. And see this? I have this scheduled because we do this on a fire pit that I manifested. Shout out to Tina if she happens to be listening to this, because she knows, because I shared that with her, that I wanted to get this fire pit, but I didn't want to pay for one because of what they were asking for it. And then lo and behold, I find one and I've had just many good times, and we'll be doing it on that, and new moon, fire, and s'mores. And we do that with the fam. And as you see, it's the 24th, September 24th, and that keeps coming up, obviously, and that's something I have seen too, so it's just, got that in the calendar. I put that in weeks ago, like we've been doing them, so, let's see. Got the super moon there, of course we covered that. That's all the cheer. Of course, my daughter's in cheer, so, but yeah, we had this in the calendar, and you did, so that's all that matters. So, and then we've been following this story. It's funny, I just did that thing on Regulus. That moon is right conjunct the king, the kingdom, the reg, the reg. Trying to set up a tent, set up a camp. You'll know. There's that sun. So when that moon, this is Thursday night, and that's Saturday into Sunday. So the 24th and 25th, obviously midnight, goes the next day. So that's tomorrow night, moves about that 13 degrees. And then after that, probably be about right there. Not there. Libra, see that? And see that those things are presented to us. Just like all these other theories. I got these theories on what this place is, if it's a simulation or the Matrix or just reality, just what have you. And these are just thought experiments. This is what I'd like to do. But there is the great circle, the magic circle, where all these travel through. All the research and stories, because it'll tell you again. Because in the search, you get to, searching things, and Warner von Braun comes up, and this is on there, so this hits on 2 of them, just to give an example. Anybody that's done this, prove me wrong. And then it's of course a Bible verse. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is this sport, and there is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. You'll hear it, it's just symbols, and then echoes. So it goes from this, which talks about this, right? And we have all these theories, ideology about what this place is, but it is like a matrix now, isn't it? Because it was created by squaring the circle. This is the great circle, this is the magic circle. Because time, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's constructed by man, the construct is times and dates, which is why all these people and places, names and dates always seem to line up. And it starts with things like the presentation of a new moon, which again, new moon means it's in line with the sun. And when they're fully in line, it means it's an eclipse. Yes? So by creating that, we created a matrix type. So yeah, I've got all these cool, weird things, and I can show you. And I will again and again, because for me, this is kind of just keeping record. But squaring the circle, and it's come back to that, all these things, all these connections. So a couple days ago, I go and take my dogs to get vaccinated, the 2 pups I just said I got. And afterwards, I stop and got a smoothie with my daughter. And this is stuff you can't make up. There's the 19, there's your 3-5, 2-9, and 2-6. And I just made a comment about the last leg and the 4-2-7, or the 7-2, which is the angle. And then that was on there. And then, like I said, I took them and Form 5115, review my, where I'm going with that in terms of numbers. And then the 2-7 and the 3-2-2-3-1-9 and the 3-2-2 are their tags. So, and then this crazy thing, I used to smoke cigars. I got this like 2 years ago. And the 13, and the 16, 91, the AF. It's just, it is in everything. You see that? Man, I made this video and it was good. And it made me so angry, I'll be honest, because I'm a human and I can get pulled onto the pillars. Let's find it. There we go. Pulled onto the pillars. Bellatrix. Excuse me. And again, these are just ideas presented. And I'm keeping for myself, and if you happen to be watching, you can accept it, you can disregard it, or you can hang on to it and just go out and see that stuff for yourself. Because if you think about it too, even right now, if you are listening to this, which I'll be listening to this because I'll go back and review these, right? Because that's one of the reasons I'm doing it too, because I'm just trying to figure stuff out. Because some of this stuff is like so organic. So is it am I part of an algorithm just within this place based on these? Because again, this will tell you, the stars will tell you the time of year, right? Just to review. That'll tell you the day of the month. That'll tell you the time of day, depending on the angle. Mercury conjunct in its house of Virgo, the Virgin, where all this is going down. Because, man, I want to go back to that, because I made a comment about Madeline. Let's play this, because this was just, I guess I'll just do a voiceover on it. Because this kind of shows how things are pieced together. The blackety black, you got the BB and that hat like Madeline, I just talked about that, and the Mary Magdalene, and of course Meghan Markle, the MM. And then, of course, always in the quotes, never look like what you're going through. And she's master today. So you'll see kind of how the echo, like I'll put that out there on this comment, and then it comes back, and then like this next one, Saturn is tilted, and we talked about Saturn, or I have talked about Saturn and its equation to time. And after a moon smashed into it, and the queen going down, so time is tilted after a moon smashed into it, trying to change the timeline, squaring the circle, the grand circle. And we just covered, and hopefully this is like kind of how these things connect, if that makes sense. Like when you see Saturn, don't get caught up in Saturn the planet. It could be Saturn the time, Saturn, father of Zeus. Yeah, just again, that I'm looking for and then now this next one, the next name storm could be a monster hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, the GM, and they name it. I don't know what I'm doing here, and again, I'm having to commentate on this because the latter part, but this feed I said, show these feeds like are so telling. Hurricane Fiona. Get rid of that. The strongest hurricanes. You think Fiona, right? You think, yeah, that came up. You know, the ogre, the monster, and Shrek. Story 11 hours ago. I mean, I'm not trying to make a stretch. I'm just saying monster, ogre, Fiona. And Idaho mom says she's blacklisting Joanne Fabrics, and that was interesting because I was just looking at the stars of Orion that I was just showing you. And of course, the Bayer, Johann Bayer, and this was the double. Look, they got her in again. That's why I went back up. Meghan Markle reportedly asked to have a 1-2-1 meeting with King Charles III. I like that. The family's feud. I mean, they just got to get her name in. Think about this too. So King Charles, C wasn't a letter too, and the ch is the only thing that gives that sound. Everything else is k, like cat, and so on and so forth. But the C and the H is the 3 and the 8th letter, which makes 11, and K is the 11th letter too. And it'll be King Charles III. And this was interesting, like what I was saying about daylight savings. When does daylight saving time end? But we'll get back to that because I actually kind of touched on that after of what I already did. But then again, so there's a 33, the year-old frozen in time, in quotes, from the reign, which means queen, Ramses II, and she was Elizabeth II. So again, to kind of connect ideas, Alzheimer's may not be a brain disease because it's all in your head. And the Milky Way, and of course I talk about Milky Way, and then of course they get Saturn time back into it. And I go into kind of speaking about what I was. So again, this is just, kind of a philosophy. Just, maybe my ideology. And I don't even want to put it like that because I don't like labeling it. But just in the consciousness right now of kind of what's going on, trying to do this new empire, all this stuff about the whales, Charlotte's, and Charles, Char and Char. Christian had some good insight on that. That's kind of my outlook, because it's weird, all this stuff comes, all this full circle, the Archimedes and the 1882, and it touched on that. Like I made a comment on that. I was like, man, look, it's done it again. And then the squaring of the circle is time. I mean, isn't it? I mean, because think about it. Here's a thought experiment. Because all the stuff that I just showed you and have been showing and probably happened to you, because all of us possess this. I just believe we weren't taught this. This is a sense, But we weren't taught any of this. It's just weird how the echo come back so quick on all this stuff. And a lot of this stemmed from a question. I think it's from I Love Dogs. So thank you. And you asked me about the Pope Francis and asking about getting stuff back. Those are just details. I mean, if you look into that, 2 of the first 3 articles were 2 different publications that had the same woman. It was like from Omaha that just had a degree. They were sure to say that in writing, but writing about this, and in 2 different publications that were only a couple paragraphs at best, just a bunch of numbers, so you can just kind of see what the messaging is. Like in those pictures, you get them at this crazy stuff like this, like on the exact same one that I did, that Gentle Wise had asked. I don't know if she'd seen it, I don't know, but this was on a Jungle Surfer vid who I was talking about with some other stuff and just how all this is connected. And then Exit Time does this video too with all the same numbers. And again, I don't want to push a narrative because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm just trying to kind of figure it out, And I just believe that this is a feeling, and there's this organic thing, because there's just no way you can produce the things that have happened over these last, my life really, but it's just been so much quicker as of late because I've always had this ESP or deja vu. If Miss Tina's still listening to, like I shared something with her, like something happened when I was like 10 or 11 years old. So when you've experienced stuff, no one can tell you any different. So again, just thought experiments out there, and, comments back, or if not, just let me be that voice in your head and either accept or reject it, or at least think about it, Don't get pulled onto the pillars. Interesting stuff about this when you look into the names and the meanings behind some of these. See that? There's the sword right there. We've just been talking about the sword and the stone, and I would follow up with I love dogs, and thank you for the comment. I know this is getting a little bit long-winded, so I apologize, but this is just kind of what I do in contemplation. I was really bummed after that video last night, and then it ended at 1844, but like I started looking at yours, and I didn't look long, I promise. Like it was like maybe 30 minutes, maybe. Because if you pull up a number of articles and you just see that length and, what are they conveying without the whys behind it? Like, why is it doing that? And he put that out August 23rd at the end of September, and it was September 30th, and you put the 29th. This is what I read in that article, or in the articles. But still such a short notice for such a grand ask. I would imagine with all the bureaucracy, one would think, all the stuff that we go through. But I'd mention that, and then it's funny that after I did that, I started looking at that, and I wrote E equals MC squared. That's why I pulled that up. I wrote it down and wrote it out just the same. And again, I'm not here to make you believe me. I'm here to record this, and I believe that there's a reason. If we come to the conclusion that there are no coincidences, then I'm not excluded from that, am I? Yeah, and that information it's there, and it's just all these different things are presented to us, like Libra, new moon in Libra. Go figure. It'll be about right there, maybe. Give or take. But and if we know, the sun spends approximately 30 days in a zodiac sign. Virgo does happen to be one of the largest signs in the sky. Still yet. It ain't there. Venus will be there, I think, by then. Mercury will still be retro. Probably still conjunct at that. As the moon is passing through Regulus, which is something I talked about at length too. It's just so weird. Because again, if there's no coincidence, it's got to mean something. And the Archimedes, the arc of the media, the arc of the idea, the information, the information. Media brought to you by the military industrial complex. I mean, right? Isn't it? I guess it just depends on what camp you're in. Turn a phrase. Christian, if you're listening, that one was for you. Yeah, just ideas. I want to know. Because I think this is something that may help. Which is why I'm doing this. To hopefully show these things. Because I do document this. And it's just, it gets to a point where, I go over to this dude and of course, you just see that. And I can't set this up. How these ideas connect. Like, here we go. This was James True. Forgot about this. I don't know James True. I didn't email him. I didn't call him and say, hey man, put a slide in that says that an eclipse happens, which is what I'm talking about. A new moon is basically an eclipse. It's not eclipsing, right? If we follow, that says July, which is 7/11, that can be used 7/7 in 1991. That has come up so much in the stuff I've been talking about and all these numbers. And then that. And then, of course, I go get this bag of ice. And again, I can't say, like, you can say looking into it, and sometimes I do say that, but I'm like, man, I'm not. If I simply read my receipt and I'm just aware of what's going on around me, and the fact that all these same numbers are repeating and being presented to you. But coincidentally, like these strange things are happening within, life. And the mind thing is like without time, without, calendar, a date. There's the time and the date, which is that man-made thing. Would this even be relevant? Or would it still be? What is the relevance of it? I know I'm missing some stuff from that video from last night. Man, that burned me up. I had to sit there for like 30 minutes because I'd said something about not being pulled to the pillars, which is the division. Don't react. Ask, why am I be presenting this? What's going on here? Is there a repetition to this? Is there some pattern to it? Again, I think that's why all these things happen to connect, all the dates, the times, the names, the places. I don't know, though. I don't know. I don't think anybody does. Just like you may not listen. Sorry, I'm just dazing off. I'm pontificating, philosophizing. But I think that this is the Great Circle, and this is what they have squared. And I made the post about hip to be square, and the 8-8 and the lion's gate. So if this is the lion's heart, Regulus, and I talked about 8-8 is actually right there in the pincer. The sun is right there of the 6-9 crab. It enters the gate at 8:11, which is still the 88. And the Lion's Gate. And then the new moon in Virgo. See, a lot of my numbers connect, and you can look into that. You can disregard it. It doesn't matter. But I tell you another interesting thing about me is I have Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, all in Virgo when I was born. And over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. My moon and Venus are right there, amongst others. But again, this is for me to just get my thoughts down, but also to put it out there and share. You know, I like to share because I want to figure this out. Look at that. Everybody's got that, right? And look, you pull it up. When is the new moon? It says it right there. You didn't even ask like what sign it's in. It just tells you it's in Libra. So what information are we given? And then when you have things in the, where is it, in the post, it's not a banger. You should look that up. 23, there's that magic. And the Semper Supra, the SS, just in time for fall. We know what this is already. And then the fall back. And then we talked about this. That's why I got this one too. Remember, I just took one to 70. Where was it? This is why I like doing this. God, look at that green man that they're trying to raise. Oh yeah, no, it was before that. There we go. Jupiter to reach opposition closest to approach Earth in 70 years. So this is right after the Queen. 70 years. See that? Yeah, I see that too. Now it's 59. You got Jupiter with this guy and the M&M after rocking this. And talking about that. I put this out before that picture with the hat, mind you. Michael, just for you to remember. Go check that out too, and how all this, and see, there we go, the 22.7, the approximation of pi. And that's, I mean, this can't be normal, but if it is, what is it? To say stuff like that, and like I said, like the echoes and showing things, like going through history, things that are being shown to us right now in the belly. I don't want to keep this going on. but I do want to share. And anybody that does happen to come across this can always answer that voice. And I'll get it back at you. I love dogs, but that's something I'd have to... Here. Let's see. There we go. See the first two articles there. And they're by the same person. Let's see. Is this it? It's Catholic World Report. Anyways. There we go. And the Mirror. The other one was better because it gave that. But August 23rd. 110. It's a 1010. The 5.6 and the 5.2, that's 5.8. 2 and the 6. But the IOR, which is weird because it's called the Institute for Works of Religion, but it's called the IOR, which again, everything is flipped. So what's the ROI? What's the return on their investment? You know what I'm saying? And then there's that, what I was talking about, the 472 and the 572. The angle, the 14, there's the 991, 114. And you see the 19 million, the 44, the 4.6, there's your 10 again. It's like, man, well, you're just combing over this too quick, but I mean, read this. It doesn't say why. It just gives these numbers, and they were here this 2019, 2021. You know, he makes this decree, you know, what's it made for? Is this the other one by her? Anyways, so this is at the end of it. So if you made it all the way through this, to answer your question, forgive me. But I wanted to make it because, again, this is what prompted going into looking up Orion, in which I look up a comment that is referred to the Amazons, which Bellatrix is also referred to as the Amazon star, to which I had that post where the male-to-male extension cord was trying to not be sold on Amazon. And then at the bottom of that, you got JB, the Jeff Bezos, you know, reference, and how those ideas start connecting, and what the male-to-male and don't accept it, you know, really means. And then like the stories that are presented to us, again, just seeing the kind of the symbolism, like, and just asking like, why were we told this? You know, why is this the thing? Why is it so quick? You know, why is it IOR? And it's prominently displayed there, but it's the works of religion. Why wouldn't it be the IOWR? Because that wouldn't be a good return on investment. Look at the $2 bill. Look what it means about being $2 bill and the queer idea. Again, I got nothing against it. I'm just saying it's what's out there. And the crown jewels. There's that logo again. Look at that symbol. That's a Star Trek symbol, y'all. I mean, They tell us, right? I've been saying that too. They tell us, and I get this. It's my lovely daughter, 26 minutes ago, to destination, the news, the 5:38. Oh gosh, there we go again. There. Again, I'm keeping this because I also want you to see it's so freaking hilarious. I didn't know my wife works with waste management. I didn't know you were in the hood. She goes, I'm still here. I go, our trash is out too. And I sent that at 322, and that tag was 322. And she was in the hood and recycle. And I said, I'm bursting. I didn't even realize it was at 322. I was just laughing because also, like, I sent that to her, and I was like, that's funny because Lincoln even said that was you. And I was like, no, she'll be here tomorrow. And I'm just like, what is 11:22 at 10:05, and I had this in my hand, and I come back, just again, like I show this, not to show off or to wow. I don't want this to be the salacious portion of it, and I know that's what, I like, and that's what makes this so freaking interesting and so fascinating. But I wanted to spark thought and, more of how to think, like I've said. Seeing the meaning in that. Like I'm halfway anticipating my buddy texting me back saying that he had to put his dog down or something happened with it. Because it's weird that he texts me and then all of a sudden this dog that looks just like his dog is here with me and chilling. It didn't come at all last night. My wife was out here, luring him in. Well, Captain. Anyways. Yeah, man. That video was 18:44. Man. I do this too, so when I go back and look, it connects those ideas for me. So I hope you understand that, to those that are watching and those that have made it this far, because I know this has been a little long in the tooth. But for anybody that's quote unquote new, or maybe not even new, because I hate saying that, but just information. So they present that to us. But there's this other story going on. And because we created time, we are stuck in it, right? Cheers.